something crosses the road. It's skeletal like, fleshy, and it stands up, and then it like kind of just almost like leaps.
They look back and they see one. Clear as day. It walked 5 feet away from my audio recorder. We just saw a Bigfoot. Holy crap.
I've been pinched, I've been tapped on the shoulder, I've had my name hollered, a hand came up underneath my left arm. I said, little son of a bitch tried to get me. That was the time that I decided you don't sleep inside that building.
Did you see that?
The cow cur, it's big, it's white, and it runs faster than any man could ever run. And it would lean out behind the tree. Listen, that's why we never go out, because the booger will get you.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Exploring the Unknown. My name is Dustin, and today we have on Joy, right?
Joy, yes.
Right, because you go by Paranormal Joy on your TikTok.
I am Paranormal Joy on TikTok, but I am part of Postmortem Paranormal. So
Right. Yeah, because I remember I spoke with Corey recently, not too long ago, right?
yes, we have a very eclectic family, don't we?
I love it, though. That was a great conversation. So, yeah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Good.
Yeah, so I know that you spoke with Luke mostly. I think he connected with you guys over TikTok, right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he's reached out to us, and you've had several of my friends on, like Jolly and Cody from Stark Paranormal and SoCo, and Corey, of course, from our group. So
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of great people. A lot of great conversations too. But yeah, so tell me, how did you get into the paranormal? Like what first got you involved?
my entire life for 59 years has been paranormal. I was born paranormal. So when you ask that question, that's a really long answer.
I'm sure, yeah, because you have abilities, right?
Yes, I'm an evidentiary an evidentiary psychic and a physical and mental medium,
Okay.
among a lot of other things too. But that's about the most succinct way that I can put it.
I'm gonna be honest, I've not some of them words I don't think that I've heard before. Could you break it
Well,
down for us?
Well, evidentiary means I'm a very logic and science-based person. And
Mhm.
so instead of like when you see some other readers, they're giving very across the board type answers, they're not specific. I give very in-depth detail of things that there's no way that I could know. I call them ungoogleable things you could not find online or anywhere else, specific to them, their loved ones. Also working missing persons, cold cases, unsolved murders, and things of that nature. I work in that field as well. So what that basically means is I have what they call all the clairs. I see, I smell, I hear, I taste, all of it. And then on the physical mediumship side, I will also feel the way someone has passed. And also humans, if I come in contact with humans, I'll feel their illnesses. I'll know what they're going through as far as like any kind of physical illness. But like when it comes to, and we have only human words. I don't like a lot of words that people in my community use. I don't really align with that for science-based, but there's no other word. When I'm communicating with someone who has, for lack of a better word, crossed over, I will feel the way that they passed. So if it was a car accident, I have certain signs and symbols. I'll feel the impact. If it was a stroke, I will feel like a rubber band snapping in my head. If it was cancer, my veins will start to burn. So it's kind of deep to explain that, but it's a little bit of all the things. And I was like this since birth. Really, when I was a very small child, my mother used to say that I could make things fly off of my high chair if I didn't want to eat them. And of course, coming from Kentucky originally, that was not a good thing in the Bible Belt there. So let's say, just to keep it short, I was baptized multiple different religions, what my mom and dad said, trying to get it out of me. But then when I was 4, I was unalived by someone who threw me in water and left me there. And they said I was approximately in there for 20 minutes because my mom had been gone to the store for 20 minutes. And I did not have an NDE. I don't call it an NDE. It was an actual death experience. I was not alive. And for approximately 20 minutes. And they pulled me out, resuscitated me. It's a big, long story. This happened in Corpus Christi, Texas. And when I came back, that was that experience was something that I live with. I can still experience it anytime I want to because it never has left me. But when I came back, my life growing up was like the child from The Sixth Sense. That's the best way I can put it, is the child in the movie The Sixth Sense. That's what my childhood and growing up was like.
Oh, wow.
And
Now,
then I
did you?
also had I know the difference between a death experience and an NDE because I also have had 2 NDEs after that fact, at 21 and at 35. And every time it's happened, it's a 24/7, 365. There's no turning it off. There's no switch for me.
Yeah. Now, growing up, did you have anybody, that you could connect with as far as like on that level?
No, it was very taboo. Very, very taboo. I would know when people were going to pass. I knew things that I shouldn't know. I knew what my Christmas gifts were. I was punished a lot, and told not to. So there was a lot of fear-based energy going on growing up, but not of what I was seeing as much as the humans and their reaction. And so not being able to tell, or talk about it without the fear of being, taken to church and, holy water tossed on me and things of that nature. I didn't even start really talking about it. And there are people in my life still today that don't really know everything. I learned to discern who is safe and who is probably doesn't just need to know. I can't have regular relationships either if people know. And I can, and like when I meet when I say that, it's because when I meet people, I will see their entire life and know everything they've done. Now, I don't purposely go in their head and try to get information out. I'll just know it, but I will not address those things because it's what I call breaking free will. And I just kind of turn it off to the side and it doesn't exist to me. You know what I'm saying? Unless they've committed crimes. Let's be
Right. So what kind of experience, like growing up, what kind of experiences were you having?
Well, let's just put it this way. Everything for me being science and logic based is based off of energy and science. So I've studied science a lot. I've studied medical stuff a lot. I've studied law. I was in law enforcement with the U.S. Army for quite some time, working in the law enforcement command. And energy is everywhere. People think, we have to go to a dark house at night to connect with energies, spirits and whatnot. That's not true. They're everywhere, in the land, in the homes we live in the items we buy, especially if they're used. So there was no getting away from it. There's just nowhere for somebody like me that I would call safe. It's just everywhere. They're everywhere. So I walk outside and where one person might see 2 people, I see 100 people.
Like you can physically see them?
Yes. When I was younger, it was more physical. And unfortunately, they would come to me in their death state. I did not know at that time, and I hadn't had the training or the knowledge, and there was no one to help me. So I had to learn all this on my own. And through the years, I researched and found out that I could actually say things like, okay, show me yourself at your best or whatever you feel comfortable with, and then show me your death to the side. So I will see them like I'm seeing you right now, and then almost to the side, like a hologram or a movie, I will see. And I do this thing called episodic trance, and it actually happened in a live not that long ago on TikTok. I get drawn off and I go into like a trance, and I'll just stare and like completely stop moving. And that's because I'm watching that happen. But I mean, they were everywhere all the time. I didn't sleep for 30 something years of my life because I didn't know I could lay boundaries and tell them not to come in my room or wake me up, or, you know. And I'm a weirdo when it comes to sleep as well, because I'm so lucid. I'm awake and asleep at the same time. So I can be asleep, but then still seeing everything that's going on in my home. It's just a lot.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like it. It sounds like it. You know, that's kind of how I view things, as far as like everything being energy and things like that. I feel like I can grasp it a little bit better. You know, I'm like, I tell Luke all the time. I like to call myself a skeptical believer, because I know it's out there, but I've not had anything, concrete that happened to me that I can say for sure, yeah, this is what it is. Kind of going into the clairs and psychic and things like that. Now I used to read tarot, and I've had some things that I've read for people be true and have come true later on in the future. That's kind of made me go, okay, how would I have known that?
Well, I'm not for everyone. You'll never see sparkly fairy lights around me, or, angelic music playing. I always tell people, if you don't want the truth, come to me. Don't come to me. I am just very science and logic based, and I stick to that. I don't go out here into the ethereals and whatnot, because I had that death experience. It completely changed my belief systems for the rest of my life. And so I always tell people, spirit is not puppet. They're not puppets. They're not just there to do what we want when we want. And while you're saying, let's say, okay, Dad, if you're here, open that cabinet. Well, while you're staring there, he's did 55,000 things over here that you've totally missed, because you're just so hyper focused on what other humans would do to try to communicate. They're always trying to communicate. And I also say, and this gets me in trouble in the community of, let's just say, we'll say with mediums, everyone is gifted. I am no more special than anyone else, other than I have learned to tap into what gifts that I was given and use them for the highest good, right? Everybody has a gift. People talk about empathy, having empathy. Everyone is born with empathy, unless you're a sociopath or a psychopath. The ability to feel emotions from other people. Being empathic is actually the manifestation of the connection. Okay, so people like to say, I'm so empathic. I'm so empathic. And then they stop there. They don't think about hearing, sight, taste, smell. There's so many other aspects. And some of these are very much scientifically proven if you're thinking on the terms of how energies interact. We are all made of energy, and that energy does not die. That's a human word for our energy leaving this, we're stuck in it, basically. And so it just doesn't.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
And I do teach people about their gifts. I mean, I do mentor people, and I've given classes, lots of them. And as you see on TikTok, I give information freely. Although it is what I do, and has been for quite some time now, what I do, I want to say for a job, but it doesn't feel like a job. That information needs to get out there to people so they can understand and tune in better, and not be held hostage for $1. That's one thing that really gets under my skin.
Yeah, I understand that. So what kind of advice would you give somebody? And I'm speaking from, personal experience and perspective that that wasn't necessarily raised in kind of like any kind of belief system. You know how we have like Christians and Catholics and things like that,
Right.
and it wants to better understand, you know, what this is and how to navigate it without,
Are,
you know what I mean?
are you talking about gifts or life in general?
Oh, well, I think I mean, I guess gifts, I don't know. Whenever I think about it, I feel like it all kind of connects in some way or another.
Yes.
I feel like, the gifts and things like that help guide us through our journey.
Yes. And they are meant to. I mean, people talk about intuition or your gut feeling. Oh,
Mhm.
I know that something will happen. They'll go, I knew that was going to happen. I felt it in my gut. But people don't listen to their gut feeling. They have been trained to think that they're perhaps paranoid or,
Mhm.
they're just drama all the time because they're feeling something. One thing that I always advise everyone that I come in contact with that are expressing any type of gift, start journaling. It is so
Mm.
important to self-validate because when you feel isolated, and I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and you don't have anyone to talk to, and all you have is yourself, stay rooted in science and logic and provide proof to yourself. If you have a dream and it sticks with you, write it in a book. If you smell a strange smell, write the date, the time, and what you smelled. If you have a feeling like somebody's going to be injured in your family or a premonition type thing, write it down, date, time, and the event. Then when it happens, you can go back and self check yourself and validate what I got. And it starts to add up. Now, it may not for some people, and that doesn't mean they're not gifted. It just may mean that they're not expressing that particular gift.
Mm.
And some things may add up and check out scientifically and logically, and some things may not.
Yeah.
So that's like
No.
my number one line. Like my parents baptized me 12. So I'm talking everything from Mormon, Baptist, Southern Baptist, Methodist. That indoctrination was trying to be in my body.
Mhm.
And so even people who have been in that situation where they do have religious beliefs, um, I look at these as for them, I've worked with people from all different faiths. So I have learned to use their language because that is what they resonate with.
Mhm.
So these God-given gifts, if you're a Christian, let's say, were given to you for a higher good, and so it's not a curse. It is a blessing, although it can be a bit of both for people like me. But we want to stay rooted in the science and the logic because there's so many fakes and scammers and people out there that are just trying to feed off of people's grief. And I'm a justice warrior. I will call them out with no problem,
Mhm.
because I see these people, they're hurting. They just want to hear from their loved one. They want to know where their loved one is at if they're missing. And these people are taking advantage of them and their grief. So I always say to people, don't play into that. Be very careful. Make sure you find a worker who is respected and notable and accurate. Don't let your grief lead you to being scammed.
Yeah.
That's a huge message that I'm always putting out there. And that's not to tear anyone else down. There are so many legitimate, gifted people out there, and I can tell who they are from the second I see them, and they are here to help. But you have to be careful these days, especially on social media.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand that. I see them a lot in town and things like that. I feel like there's a lot of businesses that offer like psychic readings and things like that just doesn't seem, very kosher.
One thing I like to say, and this is probably may offend a watcher that is a psychic or a medium or claims to be, okay?
Mhm.
People that really do this in their life, they don't have social media like websites. They don't have content. Look at my page. All I'm doing is sharing other people's content. I'm not on there, and I do want to start doing some lives and some, videos, either there or on postmortem, just to help people.
Hmm.
But you don't see them out there promoting themselves and trying to I don't need clients. I have a 4-year wait list right now. And the only way you're getting in is if someone cancels, and I also have a life too. So it's not, you can't, encompass my entire life. But we don't have to put ourselves out there. Word of mouth keeps us busy enough. So if you see someone that's got 30,000 followers and they're just, doing all these readings, and then they're like, if you pay, you get your own, I'll stop this live. Hold on. He's doing a reading and he's just typing, no, don't do it.
Hmm.
Don't do it. Look at what the person is doing before you buy into it.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sorry, I'm just passionate about this. It's been my whole life. And
No, that's okay.
I have seen a lot.
Yeah.
And like I said, being a justice warrior, I think the worst part about what I do is seeing people being used and their money being taken. And some people say, well, if it brings them peace, does it matter? Well, it devalues the people like me and others who are legitimate.
Hmm.
People don't want to work with you, or they don't want to believe you, or they say, oh, you're a scam artist, and because you're charging money. Well, I quit a very lucrative government job to use my gifts to help other people. So there are instances where I will charge, but I do 10 times more free work, as you see me in lives helping people all the time, than I do paid work.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, or if you can't talk about it, that's perfectly fine. But how did you get involved with, the governmental things?
What do you mean, job wise?
Yeah.
My father was military, and I lived in Kentucky, and we were by Fort Knox, and so graduated high school, and I had a major in art, and I was supposed to go to college, but I got married and had a child instead, and started working for the government.
Okay. So now you
worked my way up to the law enforcement command there.
Okay. So now you use your abilities in the job. Am I hearing you correctly?
I use them, all in everything that I do.
Yeah.
I do. What drove me more toward the law enforcement side of things was that I actually developed the first sexual offender registration program used by all of the military back in the 90s. And that was very important to me, to protect children, to protect women, and do that sort of thing. And then, of course, being exposed to all of the things that these people had done, well, that made me that's not why I ended up walking away from it. The last NDE I had was the reason that I walked away from that job. But that was a very difficult one to have.
Yeah, I bet.
Reading records of trials, being a person like me and knowing the truth, or coming in contact with inmates and knowing exactly what they did, was really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine, because you're constantly picking up on that energy.
All the time, yeah. Nonstop. Even from a rock, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, now you do investigations and stuff like that too, right?
Yes, we do. A lot of our investigations, now we're doing more public ones now. We do not go to like places that everybody goes to. We really go off the beaten path. A predominant of the investigations that I've done for the last 25 years are actually home investigations. And so there are, non-disclosure agreements and things like that for personal privacy. So you don't see a lot of our content on Postmortem Paranormal, because we don't want to use their circumstance to gain popularity or followers.
Yeah.
That's not why we're there. We're there to find proof, and we need to protect our clientele. Some of these people have some really sketchy stuff going on in their homes, and I have to, and I'm not the one to call the Pope. I'm not the one to bring the holy water, and I'm not against anyone who does, but it's from my experience, unnecessary. because people are not looking at things from an energetic standpoint. So they say the word demon. I can't stand that word. And I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but demons are technically a conglomeration of negative energies, either formed by a human negative experience or something that happened there. And they combine to manifest this dark shadow or this, whatever name they're going to give this evil creature. It's energy based.
Yeah. Here's something that kind of popped in my head. Can it still have intelligence though?
Absolutely. A combined intelligence at that. It most certainly can. But I also know this too, and a lot of people don't understand this. You will experience what you expect.
Yeah.
If you go in there thinking you're going to encounter a demon, well, then you're probably going to think that thing you saw was a demon. If it says, "Get out, I want your soul," you're going to believe that. And a lot of people are in this field of the paranormal for entertainment. We don't do entertainment. We are science and logic based. If it's entertaining, great. We're entertaining as people, our family. we don't need to be, going, oh, what's that? Like you say, oh, did you hear that? How many times can you, go on these shows you hear, did you hear that? And then it goes to commercial,
Right.
Like, I heard it, and she heard it, and he heard it,
Yeah, that's Luke and I, we've been on some investigations where we've had moments like that for sure, but I mean it's usually genuine, like there's something either that has happened or
that's the key. Genuine.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't get surprised. I've been surprised, and it's hard to surprise me. There's this thing with mediums. I don't know if you've ever heard of being jumped. Okay, being jumped is if you are not, I have to be constantly aware of my surroundings and everything, like every second of the day, especially if I'm working or at a location. And if you're not really, if you just let that guard down for just a second, and there's a lot of different energies there, they can jump in all at one time, and it makes you very sick. You will throw up. You might pass out. It's like like being electrocuted.
Okay.
And that happened to me once. Once. I don't believe anything until I actually experience it. So you can tell me about it and I'll be like, okay. But I like believing, seeing is believing. But I've been scared. I've been shocked. I've never been scared, but I've been surprised before. But it's like you said, it's legitimate. It's real. It's not concocted.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a moment Luke and I was in this. It was a farmhouse, and we had a light up on the shelf to kind of illuminate. Well, it was an IR light. We was kind of illuminating everything or whatever. And, I remember I was watching the floor and I seen a shadow go across the floor, and I was like, "Did you see that?" And he goes, "Yeah. What was that?" I was like, "I don't know." And then it went across the ceiling. I was like, "Holy crap, there it is again." And then all of a sudden, this big shadow kind of appeared on the ceiling, but it looked like a squirrel. And I was like, "What is that?" It was a fly that landed on the light of the lens.
We're all about debunk. Even doing what we do and knowing what we know. And I'm not the only gifted person in my family. This now has been passed on to my daughter, Alyssa, known as the Bell Witch in postmortem, and also my grandson Tenzin, known as Psychic Being the Queen in postmortem paranormal. All three of us are like this, and Corey as well. And you spoke to Corey, and boy, there's a reincarnation story about Corey that would blow your socks off. I mean, legitimately, and it was absolutely validated and verified, and yeah. Legit.
I would definitely like to hear that for sure.
Yeah, I think he said it'd be a story for mom to tell, but let's just put it this way. In short, my son, from the minute he could talk, would talk about his soldiers and his men, and he would cry and go into these fits of just agony and pain. And these 2, 3, 4, he only wanted to, all he ever wanted was soldiers and forts and Legos to build these old-fashioned looking houses, and he would talk about his wife and his children. And then when he got old enough, he actually said, I died in Gettysburg. He's trying to say Gettysburg. And I'm like, say that again. And he was like, Gettysburg. I died. And I'm like, holy moly. Okay. All right. So we're going to start checking this out. He would tell me stories. And as he got older, it got worse. He got sent home from school, and I got called many times because he would chew his peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the shape of a pew and try to play war with his classmates. So I had a friend whose uncle was the professor of history at Shippensburg University there in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And she called him, and when Corey was 5, we took him. We took him to Gettysburg, and we spent 3 days there, and her uncle, the professor, went with us and took Corey to Gettysburg. And I won't say we took him, he took us. He was telling us, go there, go that way, go over here. He ended up at Little Big Round Top or whatever it's called.
Oh, wow.
And he said he started crying and screaming, and he ran out of the car, and he ran over to the grass, and he fell on the grass, and he said, this river run red with the blood of my men. I mean, he was distraught. Oh, and this is not, I am not elaborating on anything. We were just blown away. And he was saying things, and the professor looked at me and he said, he is actually quoting our text. This is actually in the textbook that I teach from, what he's saying. And
oh, wow.
Even more stuff happened. I mean, we were driving around. He's like, there's a woman up there that plays piano. That was the hospital. And he's like, all of a sudden, I should send you the photo. If you add me on Facebook, I can send it to you, or give me your phone number. He said, do you want to see my grave? We're like, sure. So he's telling us, turn there, go by that barn. Okay, over there where that fence is, and we're in the middle of BFE, Pennsylvania by that point. And I'm like, okay. And then he said, right over there. And we came to like a T, and right in front of us was this giant cemetery set off the road. And we just went, what? And we pulled over there, and he jumped out of the car, and he took off, and I'm screaming, Corey, come back, come back, come back. And he said, no, here I am, here I am. And he just went up to this one stone and put his arm on it. And he said, here I am. This is me. And I took a photo, and I have a photo of him at that gravestone.
That's wild.
Let me tell you what's even wilder. When we left and we went back home, within a couple of months, he don't remember any of it. He remembers nothing. It's like once he was reunited, I got chills right now. I mean, and even doing what I do and knowing what I know, like I said, this is one of those times, those surprise shock times. I mean, he was 5 years old, and he will tell you, he doesn't remember any of it. None of it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, reincarnation, there's no way that it cannot be real.
Right.
He knew specific dates and details and locations, and I mean, just mind-blowing information at 5 years old. And we had never talked about it in front of him. We never watched anything on it. This was like 2000 when this happened. Oh, wow. So we didn't want to infiltrate his brain with anything. We wanted real evidence that this could be a thing or not. But it was a thing.
That's amazing.
Sorry I got on that story, but it's just something.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, it reminded me of Audrey Rose, the movie back in the 70s.
No, I find that very fascinating. I definitely believe that we come back. I don't know where I believe, honestly, though. I feel like we have a choice in a way.
Well, what my experience taught me, and now, there are things I learn every day, so I don't know everything, but what I do know is based on experience, like personal experience, not something that I read or something that I watched or something somebody told me. If I don't experience it, then I need proof, right? Is that we are in both places. Okay, so when we say reincarnation, reincarnation is just a manifestation of a return of part of us. Part of our energy is always remaining on the other side. We got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. That's the way I put it. And that's how
that
people talk about connecting to your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear that a lot. Well, that's not too far off track. There is a part of you where I went, and that would be a whole nother podcast to tell you about that, because it's a story. And so are the other 2 NDEs, as a matter of fact. But there's a part of our energy that still remains. And we're just reconnecting with that when we leave this body.
Yeah.
It's like you want to talk about residual energy here. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be elsewhere, right?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Reincarnation is a very, very interesting topic.
Yeah. My mom and I talk about a lot about the higher self and the ego and things like that.
Yeah, that's very, very important in the work that I do, is the word ego. You cannot do what I do and have your ego involved. That means you're trying to think about it, or you're trying to guess. Losing the human ego is one of the most difficult things. Not being worried about whether you're right or wrong. When I'm doing a reading or I come in contact with someone, if I see a purple cow, I don't question what I see at all. I say a purple cow, whether I don't care if it's right or it's wrong, but it is a purple cow. It ends up being the purple cow because I'm not questioning it. I'm not getting in my ego and trying to go, well, is it a purple cow? Is it really purple? Is it brown? Is it really a squirrel? You know, what is this? Whatever it is that I get, that's what it is.
Right.
Period.
So how do you not let your ego, because I know my ego, it's right there immediately. As soon as I hear something, it's like it wants to pick it apart and analyze it. Okay,
there's the difference in picking it apart and analyzing it and your ego being involved. Ego is more about being right or wrong. Okay, ego is more about getting involved in what you're seeing, hearing, or doing because you want to be right and you don't want to be wrong. Now, when we come at it like you do, obviously, and we do from a scientific and logical standpoint, it's necessary to think. But when we do, it's not about being right or wrong. We want to know if it's true or not true. We want to know if it's valid or invalid. We want to say that it's real or debunk it. That's the difference. Ego is purely in that sense, meaning that you question, you question it because you don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean by like picking it apart. It's like trying to convince myself the reasons why I'm wrong.
Well, as long as you balance that out with the reasons why you're right, and one side is heavier than the other, then you're okay. I wouldn't call that ego. I would call that, I would call that science and logic. That's logic. We can't believe everything that we see. Like I said, we need proof. In order to have that proof, we must ask questions. We must ask questions. Now, in my line of work, though, that's a little different. In investigating, it's different. When I'm investigating any location, I'm like you. I'm skeptical until I see it or I can prove it. But in my work, I cannot question what I'm getting.
Right.
You see the difference? Like when I'm helping solve an unsolved case, I had a case in Washington State. They called me. They said, we need your help. The girl fell off of a log. We cannot find her. And they had heard about me all the way over there. I mean, I've read people all over the world, but, and I didn't charge them or anything. Like, I was in my pajamas when they called me and said, it's an emergency. She's only in her 20s and we don't know, we can't find her. And I said, immediately, the divers are in the wrong area. They're diving around where the accident actually happened. She is And now if they're alive, that's a whole different story. It's a lot more work if they're still alive than if they're deceased. If they're deceased, I'll immediately see them. They'll be standing right in front of me, and I can tell them wholeheartedly they are not with us anymore. So now you're looking for a body, or if they're alive, it takes a lot more work. But she was standing right in front of me, and she showed me where she was, and I said, you need to go down about 2 miles. There's a tree on the right. It has like weird limbs coming out of it, and it's right before it meets a large body of water. Now, I had no clue where they were in Washington. I didn't know, but that's what she showed me. It feeds into a larger pond, and she's tangled up in the trees, in the roots of the trees. 15 minutes after that call, they said they found her exactly where you said she was. Now, if I had questioned that, you know,
Right.
so people like me, I have to say what I get without worrying about whether it's right or wrong.
See, I'd like to live in that kind of space, because I feel like a lot of the times, you know, I question it.
Which part?
All of it, you know, like even whenever I've had that gut feeling or that thought, you know, like this is what I should do, you know, this is, you know, like whatever information I feel like I may be getting, I always question it, and it's almost like I never
Well,
trust
I'm
it.
a Capricorn. I question everything. Okay, so but you know, when you're saying that though, you're questioning what you get, because you haven't worked on learning to trust that yet. And so, you know, when I talk to people and work with people, I really do focus on them learning to hone in on specific symbols that they get that are unwavering every time it happens. Like I said with that journal, but if you get this certain feeling, a chill, and it happens every single time, you have to start noticing what your signs and symbols are, and it'll cut some of that thinking and, you know, trying to do whatever it is that you're doing out of your mind.
Yeah.
Because it starts to become a repeated pattern. You start to notice that this happens every single time right before blank.
Right.
So you walk into a building, and your thing is you start to get really, really hot when you have spirit energy. And you notice that every single time. Like for me, my hands change color. I have to tell people all the time when they meet me, when I'm doing it, they'll go from normal color to a red color to a purple color to almost a blue. Because my temperature changed to drop so much that my hands will turn these weird colors. That's a symbol. At first, I thought I was dying. I went to the doctor and everything. They're like, no, you're fine. And then I started noticing it was happening every time I had a client. Every time I was in a situation where activity was presenting itself. And I'm like, okay, I know what this is now. It's been a long learning process though.
Yeah. Do you?
I try to cut that shorter for people that I come in contact with, because I don't want them to suffer through it like I did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get in trouble for that too. People are like, well, if you teach everybody, then we're not going to have a job. And I'm like, oh, well, find something else to do.
It is what it is.
It is.
Okay. So I had a question. I completely lost it. No, that's okay. That's okay. I can't remember what it was now. It's just like I think it was something I had to do with like feeling the energy that you feel like. So you mainly see things.
Oh no, it's everything.
It's everything.
See, I feel, I smell, I taste. I mean, it's just like every sense plus 10. There's nothing like I'll meet somebody and all of a sudden I'll taste baklava. And I'll be like, your grandma made the best baklava. And they'll go, oh my God, she was known for her baklava. It's everything for me. There's nothing, no sense left unchartered.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So, do you have any events or anything like that you guys do? Like, I know we go to conventions and things like that. Do you guys do anything like that?
No, we really haven't. I mean, we only started our TikTok, I think at the end of October was our first one. And so we haven't been to any, we're just, I don't know if we're a little different. We're not out there to get a TV show or have notoriety or something like that. We just want to build a community of really cool people and eclectic people. Because as you know, post-mortem, we have psychics, we have mediums, we have the cryptids and the, UFOs and the aliens and witches. And we just kind of are into all things paranormal. So we're still trying to find our place in this whole, because this one's a ghost hunter or this one does this and they only do that. Well, we're like, there's not very many groups that I've seen yet that are just eclectic like that. So we're still trying to figure out where would we fit into Paracon. It's a little bit easy for me because I could just go, I'm a medium, here I am, I'm sitting next to you. And I met Amy Allen and she's really cool. And that's actually who I compare myself to. They always say, well, who would you compare yourself to? And I'm like, Amy Allen.
Amy Allen.
With a little bit of chip coffee because I love the kids, right? I love helping kids specialize in gifted children to help them so they don't have to, go through what I did. But I'm more like her when it comes to the gifts and the way she sees things and all of that. So, I mean, I could go out there and do that, but I'm not in it for entertainment either.
Yeah.
I'm not in it to sign a book or to, give an autograph or something like that. I don't have time for the frivolous part, for the notoriety part. I just don't, not right now, but we're just trying to figure out if we were to go do stuff like that. We would have this guy dressed as a Sasquatch over here and some lady with a witch over here. And then we would have an alien dude back here. And, then people would be like, is my dad here? So how do we do that?
Yeah, no, I think that's what I like. That's what I like about you guys is that, it's a little bit of everything. And, I resonate with that because, I feel like personally, I'm a little bit of everything. And, but yeah.
You guys do, or you wouldn't be doing this, right?
Right. I find it, fascinating. There's a lot more out there that we're unaware of that people, kind of pass off that I feel, kind of needs to be known.
Well, what people don't understand is a lot of it ties in together. I mean,
that too.
Sasquatches, cryptids, aliens, interdimensional beings. I mean, energy, they're all energy. There's some form of energy. So it all kind of ties in together. I mean, we would be a great TV show, though. I mean, we're goofy. We don't take ourselves seriously down here at Postmortem Paranormal too much. I mean, if it's real, it's real. But you'll see us acting super goofy. We're just ourselves. We don't have pretenses. We want to just build a great community of cool people that love all things paranormal. I mean, I'm a horror movie fanatic and horror, documentary fanatic. So I'm very passionate about films and documentaries to do with things like this. So we're just real eclectic here.
Yeah. Whenever whenever me and Corey spoke, he told me about a TV show, Hellier.
Oh yeah.
I started watching it.
That's
me and my wife.
Word around here.
What's that?
That's a daily word around here, Hellier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and her started watching. I gotta keep watching. I gotta keep rewatching it because we watch it late at night, and I can't, stay awake for the life of me. But
right. Yeah, I mean that has set our family. That show and Dana and Greg Newkirk, they have set our family on this journey that has been okay. So I'm in my lane, right? I've never been too much into aliens or cryptids or, anything like that, but they are. So as a family, we all embrace that. They've even got me in on it now. They've got me doing estices, getting numbers, like aliens are talking to me saying there's like a chorus of these voices that doesn't happen to anyone else that says it's us. And it's almost like Queen, the band. It's like stacked harmonies.
Oh,
And it
that's
doesn't matter
interesting.
where I'm at, it'll happen. And they show up and then they start saying Corey's name and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is now becoming some proof for me, because someone else can take the Estes, the equipment, and put it on in the same room, and it does not happen to them. They
Yeah.
do not get this, what I call the conglomerate, coming through on their Estes, but it happens to me. And then I think I'm speaking gibberish. And then when I get off and they start to go through it, I was answering their questions and talking about things that there's no way that I could possibly know that they're aware of. So I'm starting to get a little bit, the coincidences with Hellier are just crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that I lived in the areas they talk about, I was born in one area, we have a Mothman experience. There's just too much coincidence to ignore. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing. You could just have a show on our creepy ass. Oh, sorry, our creepy.
Nope, it's fine. You're good.
Our creepy family, and yeah, you would never get bored.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. It makes life enjoyable. You know, you gotta keep things interesting. But that's interesting. So when you say so whenever you say you were talking to aliens, you feel like, or like what, I'm a little
100%
confused there.
communicating with another, with a different life form. I don't like the word alien either. I mean, because I'm really bad about this. And I mean, I'm 59, I'm old. I'm still a Gen Xer, not a boomer, but these words, alien, okay, that just is unknown, right? It just means it's they are other life forces. I mean, they are other life forces and more intelligent, I think, than we are.
Yeah.
For them to be able to tell me things and then it pan out to equal something I had no clue about, how would that even happen?
Right.
How would that even happen? And since we started playing these tones, and Corey will be angry if I don't say it correctly, but there's these set of tones and we play these tones and then I do an Estes and then all of this stuff, this information starts coming through. It really, really can mire you down in deep thought.
Yeah.
What's going on with this particular experiment that the kids are conducting with the CE5 experiments that they've been having me do with them. So it's actually so cool for me because it takes me out of my zone and I'm in their zone now. And I feel like I'm learning even more. You never stop learning about stuff. So I'm now officially, I'm about 50% in at least from experience. Like I said, I base things on experience.
Yeah.
You know,
So what are the tones? I feel like Corey and I touched on it a little bit, but I don't think that we really got too much into it.
App, and it's actually called the CE5 Experience. And you can download this app. You should reach out to him. And there's like a set of protocols that you do when you're listening. And we did this on a live, and everybody in our live started having stuff happening, like lights showing up at their house, things in the sky. The tones made some people sick. Some people felt like they needed to go to sleep and go to bed. And things happened in that live to us and to other people that were participating in the CE5 experiment. We called it the CE5 experiment. The experiment was to see if we could have everybody hold, and I was unbeknownst to this and in a completely different room with noise canceling headphones on. They set an intention, and I did not have a clue what the intention was going to be. It could have been spiritual, it could have been any number of things, of something they wanted to contact or whatever they had determined. And everyone in the live knew what that was, and I didn't. And then we started the Estes, and that combined mindset did something, because I was under for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
And there's just dozens of pages that corresponded directly to the questions that they were asking. It creeped me out. Excuse me.
No, you're good. I would like to, look more into that. That's something that I would like to start introducing is some of these different experiments and stuff. I know Luke and I, we do like the Estes method and things like that, but I kind of want to get outside of the box. Like we've done some things in the past that seem to generate some experiences. Like we was in one of the locations that we go to look for Bigfoot, and we played some shamanic drumming, and it seemed we after that we had some weird things happen, shuffling around the cars. I heard a chain link fence, like a gate, close. Right, no fence there.
Yeah, see, people don't understand that, that we're going to go back to energy again. I've also been a professional lead singer for 35 years, right? Music and sound are energy and energy waves, and it's a calling card, and it can create energy for spirits or other types of beings to manifest. It really does. I have a group that I work with out of the UK called True Hauntings, and I do some live mediumship with them from time to time. And they sing a lot. And the minute they start singing, I will see another 20 come out. It's the vibrational energy spreading out. So the drums, all of that, I think singing, music of any kind, it's the vibrational energy of it. That's science. It's scientific. It's not, and I love experiments. We do weird experiments all the time. We're always testing the boundaries. Always testing the boundaries. Trying to find new ways to do things that are quantifiable, that we can quantify and say, okay, we now know this does this. So we're just like a group of freaky scientists, aren't we?
I love it. Do you guys do, outside of the CE5 experiment, do you guys do anything else that could be replicated?
Oh, we do weird things all the time. I would have to actually sit down and think about all the weird things that we do. Try to get random coordinates from the Estes session and then go to that location and see if something appears there that we have we're going to find a red pin, and then get the coordinates and go to the location and see if there's a red pin. There's just so many things. We do weird things and just to test it to see if it's possible. The kid, I'm usually the scapegoat though. The kids formulate these evil little plans over here, and they go, "Hey, mom," and so they make me the person that actually has to do it. I'm the test subject. I know there's another word for that, and I can't. The guinea pig. That's
the guinea pig.
Yeah. They test stuff on me all the time because I'm so logical.
Yeah.
Right. So and also because of some of the things that I do, they're like, let's see if mom can get this. Yeah, you guys, you just quit making me a guinea pig. No, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because who wants to do the same thing all the time, and just repeat, on infinite repeat. So we're always changing it up and looking for, different things. Like one thing that we do, for psychic mediumship, is my husband. He has also in our group, and he's known as the English investigator. His name is Ian. He's from England. So he is our group researcher and historian. So he holds all the true information. So he will look up a case of someone who was unalived or, a serial killer or something like that, that's close enough to drive to, but won't tell us. And he will take us to the location to see if we can pick up what happened. And that is a way that you can start developing your skills and also hone your skills and also keep up your skills if you're on, say, a downtime. It's I don't want to say it's fun because it's sad and it's tragic, but it is a really good way to self-train.
Yeah. I like that. I might have to try that one.
You'll freak yourself out. Literally. If you bring a recorder, I would advise you bring a recorder and record what you say. Because like for me, sometimes during sessions, I have no clue what I'm saying. They'll ask me a question 45 minutes in and I don't remember. It's not coming from me. It's coming from someplace else. I'll start talking really, really fast. I'm not taking, and also I write at the same time. So I'll be looking at you talking, but my hand is writing something completely different than what my mouth is saying. Signs, symbols, numbers, it's just good training, and it keeps, changing it up. It's fun.
Yeah.
New experiences.
Right. All about new experiences, exploring the unknown.
You were getting all this when you wanted me on your show, did you?
I didn't. I'm really. I feel like I can continue talking for the rest of the day. I know
believe me, I could probably talk to you for a month and we wouldn't talk about the same thing.
Oh man,
we got all the stories. Believe me.
Well, definitely
even get into the death and the the death experiences and the near-death experiences and what that's like. And every single member of our family, the last member who had not had a near-death experience just had one last June. So now every single person in our family has passed away and had an NDE. And some multiple. Me, my daughter, my grandson, my son-in-law, Corey, when he was 3 years old, his windpipe collapsed and he almost passed away. And then last summer, my husband had to have an emergency triple bypass and his heart was stopped for 45 minutes. So he came back different. He now is knowing things, and I don't like that because I was the one that knew before. He has never been able to buy me a gift. He cannot surprise me with anything. It drives him insane. He buys me Christmas. I look at the box and I go, that's a blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I quit.
That's funny. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. Maybe you can share some of those stories with us. I know we're coming up on an hour now, so I don't want to.
I know. I'm so sorry. I mean, Allie.
No, I love it.
Cool to talk to as well, and Adam. Adam is so smart. I mean, that dude is. I would call him the scientist. He's like his background is in genetics, so he's like the science, our cryptid guy, and our folklore and legends guy. And Corey too. Those two guys, their intelligence just blows me away.
Yeah.
And knowledge on what they're into, so.
Yeah. Well, hey, if they're interested in coming on, we'd love to have them on.
I'm sure they would be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate Luke wasn't able to be a part of this because he would have been, he would have been really excited too.
He probably would have been asking me a lot of questions. And it's very, very hard to talk to people even like this and not, the whole time we were talking, I'm getting information and I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. This is not a reading. We are not getting into that. Nope.
I'm going to be honest. I've been sitting here restraining myself from asking you that specific question because I'm just trying to respect boundaries and things like that. But yeah.
That because 99% of people don't. If they find out what I do, then we cannot have a normal relationship. And I don't. I mean, it's just going to happen. And from time to time, I usually ask, but from time to time, I will accidentally blurt something out and go, like, your grandma said, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, But I mean, in lives, I don't even have to be in the person's presence. It could be text, phone, email. But I mean, in the lives, I do remote viewing. So like once I connect with Jolly's energy, it's like I'm there with him, seeing it, smelling it, tasting it, or like SoCo or like Paranormal or any of these other groups that I do mediumship in the chats for. I ask them, they say, yeah, we would like to have you in there because you seem to be right on the money. So I just do it to help them,
Yeah.
I love awesome. A lot of content creators on there. They're real good people. If my energy flows with theirs and it's really easy, why not?
Sometimes it just is like that, when you click, you click.
Yeah, I can usually tell from the first 5 minutes of watching someone's live whether it would work or not.
Yeah.
And if they're valid or they're not. So there are quite a few though that I've worked with now and then. I have more people that are approaching me, asking me to come into their lives to help them. But I only have so much time in my life, right?
Yeah. No, I understand that. I
But
understand that completely.
yeah,
I got four girls, four daughters, and a full-time job, and
yeah,
I produce music, and yeah, so it's
yeah, I get it. It's like people don't think I don't sit on TikTok and social media all day long. There's like life to still be lived. That's just kind of an extension, an
right,
extension. So
right. That's what I was just telling Luke. Getting sidetracked into TikTok and Facebook and things like that. Like this year, I'm tired of not enjoying life, and I want to document it along the way. So that's
yeah.
just
I mean, if you notice, I'm not in a lot of videos on postmortems. I do a lot of the work, but I'm not in the videos, and I have 0 videos on my Paranormal Joy page. That's purely to help promote other groups because I want to, but finding the time with
Mhm.
everything that I have and formulating the way that I would like to do it that is going to be authentic, So I'm like, it can just stay that way until until something happens, and I have some more time.
Yep. No, I understand that. I understand that. But yeah, I know, we're coming up on, well, actually we're a little past an hour now. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out and chatting with me today. I really enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot.
You are so very welcome. It's nice to talk to y'all. You guys have great content and you
Well,
are
thank
doing
you.
so much for the community. And I loved your live the other night. I watched you on YouTube live and also on TikTok live during some investigations and stuff. So you guys are just cool.
Well, thank you.
You're
I
cool and
appreciate that.
fun, you know?
Yeah, I've been very much enjoyed meeting people in the community since we started doing the podcast. We've met a ton of great people, and
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to connect with people who are open minded and enjoy the same things.
Yes, it is. That doesn't make us feel so alone in our weirdness.
Right, and we have someone to talk to about it.
Right? That won't judge us. Won't put their judgy
Right,
pants on.
absolutely, absolutely. Now
Well,
we do
thank you
have.
very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do also we always do a little segment at the end of our episodes called the Would You Rather section. Or this Would You Rather segment where we just started incorporating our guests. So I find it interesting, I'll ask like a would you rather question that's usually paranormal or cryptid related, and then we just kind of have fun with, the answer. Would you
Okay.
like to participate?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me get my creepy music going. All right. Now this one, so I use ChatGPT to kind of formulate these questions. This one is kind of paranormal and cryptid related. So, would
Okay.
you rather spend the night completely alone in a famously haunted house or hike deep into a forest known for cryptid sightings with no flashlight?
The house, no doubt. The house, no doubt.
I would have to agree.
There's not going to be a me in the forest at night with something that is actually physical.
That was me and Luke's case whenever we was out at was you on the live the other night when we was out at the lake?
Yes, I was.
So we had an experience out there which we felt was Bigfoot related. We seen strange lights in the woods. We heard wood knocks, and then just this overwhelming feeling of you're too close. You need to
Yeah.
go. So we started hiking out of the woods. It took us an hour and 45 minutes to get back to this location. It was 11 o'clock at night, but good thing we left when we did, because about halfway out, my headlamp died.
Oh no. No. I just know like too much about woods and forests and portals and alternate dimensions and stuff. So like, I don't know. I would much rather be in the haunted house. I can deal with that. I already live in a haunted house. Every house I've lived in is haunted. I can deal with it.
Yeah, I would have to too. I've already experienced the one. I'd rather, not do that one again.
Yeah, I'll just stick with what I know. I mean, I would go out there. The kids would do it and make it a comedy sketch because I would be like, that would probably scare me way worse than anything I could ever see. Spirit wise would be a Bigfoot or like a werewolf or something like that,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh no, they eat you.
Yeah. In our location, we've had a dog man sighting that was actually aired on These Woods Are Haunted.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't see it, but I had some weird things happen.
Capture some footage of that. That would be so cool.
It would be cool. Maybe one day.
People have been trying for a while.
Yep.
I lived in Washington State, and it was like constant Bigfoot. So
yeah. But well, thank you again for taking the time out to do this, and you're always welcome back on. And if anybody else of the family wants to come on and have a chat, they're more than welcome as well.
Sure, just give us a shout out, man. We're here. We love paranormal. We love the community, and we love helping anybody out that we can. And we really appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, Joy. You have a great day.
You too, Dustin. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.